Since I moved to France 7 years ago, my mindset towards money has really changed a lot for the better. And in the last 4 years since I've started working full time, I've been able to save a pretty decent amount of money. In this video, I'm going to share with you my 5 money rules that have really changed my life for the better. My first rule is that I never ever buy anything on EMI, monthly installments, or buy now, pay later. So this means that whenever I buy anything, whether it's big costing a few €1,000 or whether it's small and it's only €100 or 10 or 20 euros, I pay it off completely in cash always. And if I can't afford to pay for something in full, I don't buy it. Today, companies really know that buy now, pay later schemes have the power to make you buy things you don't really need and can't really afford, and they do take advantage of that. I mean, I can sort of understand if you really need a laptop for your studies and you can't afford to pay it off completely in cash, and so for that you pay it off in 12 installments. But for everything else, especially things like clothes and accessories and even trips, I know that there's no reason for me to buy it if I can't pay it off in full. Life doesn't need to be that expensive. It's also really helpful that in a country like France, there are no credit cards at all. Unlike places like the US or India where credit cards are very commonly accessible. Doing this trains me to delay gratification and really think a lot about whether I actually want something or not. Because when I see my bank balance dropping by a huge amount because I bought something, it really pains. But I imagine that when you pay off something €100 a month for 12 months, it pains a lot less. And so that helps me avoid impulsive decisions. I just don't buy things that I really don't need. Or even if I do buy things that I don't need, I at least know that I can afford them. Alright, my second rule, it's a little bit controversial, but I never buy compromise items. A compromise item is when it's basically a compromise. You don't really get exactly what you want. So for me, I either buy exactly what I want, which in many cases, to be really honest, is the more expensive option. And so I do that by saving up. Or if I can't buy exactly what I want, I then otherwise buy the cheapest option available that still fulfills the job to be done. If I'm in the second option of buying the cheapest thing possible, I also look for secondhand and refurbished. In my mind, if I'm spending money on something, I want to either be completely fully satisfied and happy with my purchase, or I'm either not gonna spend on it at all or buy the cheapest option available so that I reduce the amount I spend as much as possible. My goal is to never be in this middle ground of having spent a few €100 on something and still not being fully satisfied with it. A big example of what I've done with that is my TV. So the TV that I have in my apartment is a €100 second-hand computer monitor that I bought like 4 years ago, and I attached it to a pair of Logitech speakers that I already had. It's really like a very cheap option for a TV. And I just know that the TV that I really want is like a very expensive one, and if I'm not gonna buy that, I'm just not gonna buy a new TV. However, the ironic thing is that I bought an Apple TV to connect to this TV because I wanted a set-top box, but I wanted it to be the best one possible. Weirdly enough, the Apple TV is actually more expensive than the TV that I connected to. So, well, do with that information what you will. Another example is my coffee machine setup. Now I have a really nice, expensive coffee grinder and an espresso machine, which allows me to make the most wonderful lattes every morning at home. But before this, I just had a really cheap French press, which I got from a friend when she was moving away. But when I did buy a coffee machine, I bought exactly the one that I wanted. Essentially, for me, I realized that when I'm buying something, the goal is to improve the quality of my life and to make myself happy. And so if something's not really going to do that, there's no point in buying it at all. And if I just want something that's going to do the job that the thing is supposed to do, the cheaper options almost always can still suffice. It's a bit controversial because it sounds like I'm just telling you to spend a lot of money or don't spend, but I think that's kind of basically what it is. Because what it sort of does is that it just prevents you from spending on things that you don't actually really want or that aren't actually going to improve the quality of your life a lot. Alright, the third one is that most people distinguish between needs and wants, which I think is great and you should do that. But for me, I distinguish between 4 different things. I understand that there's essentially 4 different types of purchases for myself. The first one is a need, the second one is an investment, the third one is a want, and the fourth one is a luxury. So for me, needs are necessities that I absolutely need to keep my life going. So an example of that is healthy food, rent, my transportation, all of that. The second one is an investment, and these are things that I buy with the goal of improving the quality of my life to a point where it either allows me to earn more money or allows me to save my energy. An example of this is a really good MacBook to edit my videos on because I know that that will help me earn money. Similarly, a nice camera like the one that I'm using right now, it was really expensive when I bought it, but it was an investment that paid off. It's also things like the desk setup that I use at home. The desk setup doesn't directly allow me to earn more money, but it makes me do my work in a far more comfortable way, which gives me more energy, which then earns me more money. So yeah, it's things like that. Things that are essentially bets that I'm taking that they're going to improve the quality of my life in a certain way, I think those for me are investments. The third one is a want. Plain and simple, these are things that satisfy my need for dopamine. I think it's the case for everyone. The only reason we buy things that we want is because we want dopamine, and these are pretty clearly for that. So an example is that a few months ago, I decided that I wanted to buy an Xbox. So then I went and bought one. I knew it was a want and it was probably not going to have any major positive effect on my life. I don't really need it, but it's just something that I wanted, and so I got it. I did buy it secondhand though, and I got a really good deal on it. And the last one is a luxury. So for me, luxuries are things that I want, but they go beyond what is normal for a thing in that category. These are things that I rationally know in my mind that they're probably not worth the money that I'm spending on them, but they often signify something really important to me emotionally and satisfy some sort of emotional need. In the vast majority of cases, these are gifts that I buy myself on a special occasion. So an example of a luxury is my coffee machine. It was extremely expensive, but it was a gift that I bought myself. Also, things like my iPad. I knew that the iPad was a luxury because I didn't really need it for work. And I also bought the best possible iPad there was. I got the iPad Pro with the Magic Keyboard. Another example is this Dyson fan that I have, which was a gift from my parents on my birthday. These all sound like really expensive things, but luxuries don't always have to be super expensive. As an example, I have this hand cream from Aesop, which I absolutely love, which is a luxury. And also the classic Aesop hand soap, which I also really love, but 40 euros for a hand soap is clearly in luxury category. So essentially, for me, I distinguish between these four different types of purchases. Needs are absolutely okay. If I need something, I buy it. When the purchase is an investment, the main lens that I'm looking at it from is it going to improve the quality of my life in any way or not? And if so, what is the specific improvement that I'm expecting to achieve with that thing? So I treat investments as if I'm investing in anything else. When it comes to wants, I think spending a certain amount of money every month or every year is okay on wants because you don't want to deprive yourself of happiness and of dopamine completely. But for me, wants have to be purchased within limits. And lastly, when it comes to luxuries, these are things that I only absolutely buy when I want to gift myself something. And so luxuries for me sort of have to be earned. I have to have reached a specific milestone or particular event or something like that for me to warrant buying a luxury for myself. My money rule number 4, which is actually sort of related to this previous one, is that I define what I really love and I spend a lot of money on it. But the things that I actually don't really care about, I cut down ruthlessly on those things and spend as little money on those things as possible. This is a tip that I got from this author named Ramit Sethi, who I really like a lot. He wrote this book called I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. And the entire thesis of that book is that you need to define what your rich life is. What are the things that make you feel rich, and spend as much as you can on those things. But the things that you actually don't care about, you don't have to spend any more money on those things than is necessary at all. So to give you concrete examples, the things that make me feel rich. I love traveling and I like traveling comfortably, so I spend a lot of money on that every year. I take the upgrade to premium economy wherever it's available as well. For me, personal electronics are also really important. Things like my phone and my laptop, they have to always be in great shape because I'm using those devices all day, every day to get on with my work, and I don't want those devices to get in the way of me and my work. And so I spend a lot on those as well. Things like comforts and time savers. So anything that saves me my time or my energy, I like to spend a lot of money on it. A big example of that is that I eat my lunch out every single day because I don't want to take the time to go and buy ingredients and cook lunch. Dinners, on the other hand, I always eat at home because me and my girlfriend, we have dinner together every day. Another example of that is actually Ubers. I actually never used to take Ubers back home late at night because I thought it was a waste of money. But when I realized that it's actually something that gives me a lot of energy back, when after a late night at a concert, I can just take an Uber back and I'm able to come back home and sleep a lot better, I started spending money on that as well. And lastly, this is probably something a bit of a luxury, but I really like good interior design. And so as much as possible, I like to spend on that. I like to spend on making my apartment look really nice, buying nice furniture, and yeah, things like that. But then there's also a lot of things that I don't really care about at all, and so I spend as little money as possible on those things. The number one example that comes to my mind is clothes and accessories. I literally wear the same 7 t-shirts every single week. I have a bit of a uniform. You probably even noticed this in my last few YouTube videos that I'm often wearing very similar clothes. And so yeah, so when it comes to clothes, I really don't spend much money on them at all. I almost never buy new clothes. I probably buy like 1 or 2 new jackets every year, but other than that, nothing else really. Another big one is alcohol and smoking. So I really don't drink that much, whether it's at home or outside, and I don't smoke at all. And so I spend very little money on those things. I also don't really go to bars or clubs very much at all because I know those are really, really expensive as well, and I don't actually even enjoy them, so I just never spend money on those. Another big thing that I don't really spend money on is ordering in food. I almost never order food in. Related to food, I also almost never buy snacks from the supermarket to eat at home, and so that also saves a lot of money. So yeah, I think for me, spending a lot of money on these things that I really love really makes me feel rich. It improves the quality of my life a lot. It allows me to invest my time and energy in places where I really want to. And then by cutting down my spending on those other things that I don't actually really care, it allows me to save a lot of money in those areas. My fifth money rule that I follow, which once I realized this, it completely changed the way I looked at things, is that I understand that I'm not gonna get rich by saving money. I'll get rich by earning more money. Look, I think saving is absolutely important. I think it's very important to live below your means, invest for the future, and save for retirement, but saving is gonna get you to live a comfortable life. But if you wanna be rich, the only way you're gonna get rich is if you earn more money. And so that's why at this stage of my life, I'm really focusing as much as possible on building skills, building my network, and finding opportunities instead of spending my energy on saving money in every single way that I can. What I also realize is that both saving money as well as earning money require a lot of effort, but in different ways. Saving money requires making sacrifices and compromises. But then again, earning more money also requires making sacrifices and compromises. And so I decided that at this stage of my life, when I don't really have any kids, I'm gonna focus a lot more on earning more rather than on saving more. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but actually if you use that energy in different ways, it makes it more likely that you'll earn more money, and I think for me that's going to move the needle a lot more. That brings me to the end of this video. If you like this sort of content on money, personal finance, let me know in the comments below. It's something that I've recently started developing a strong interest in, and I want to talk about that a lot on this YouTube channel. I just don't know if you guys are interested in that, so you can let me know in the comments what you think, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.